The year was 2017. This was when I had sort of begun coaching people with the dating advice business that I had, where I was helping men have a much better dating life, go out there, talk to people and teach them about that stuff. Now, for the past couple of years, things weren't as good, all right? And I was going through a lot of stuff for a long time, but this was when it came crashing down. And it sort of had like a cascading effect. And let's backtrack to 2014 when I was in college, and that was the time it was amazing, all right? College was amazing because I was going out, I was talking to girls, I was going out to clubs and parties, and I was just living the bachelor life. I had lots of friends, I had lots of wings, whom we were going out with. I had lots of girls who were my friends, and just a lot of things happening. And as in when college got over and we started our business, I started a startup with a friend of mine, very close friend of mine. We took up some loans for that. We borrowed money from here and there. A friend of mine from school helped me out with the initial funding, which was amazing from his side. And a lot of things were happening. But the business model was such that it wasn't supposed to work. And if you're curious, what we were doing we were manufacturing stationery for schools and colleges. You know, those amazing notebooks and everything that you have, on top of which your school's name is written and your college name is written and everything. We were doing that. A lot of girls watching this would be like, oh my God, stationery, that's so amazing. We want some stationery. Do you have some? I do have some. If you guys are amazing subscribers, I might just send some over to you guys. But that was the most stressful period for me. Talking at it from the work standpoint, I was stressed throughout. Before that, before like 2014, 2015, 2016, I had no recollection or no idea of what stress even is. Because I was just this guy who would wake up in the morning, just go to college and just meet friends. I was the guy who would get energy being around people because that was my main support system. I grew up in a boarding school, and being in a boarding school, you grow up with friends and that becomes your main support system. And I had never been so close with family. But just saying that out loud right now seems okay. But during that time, I don't think you could say it. Like, if you're watching the video right now and you might be thinking, all right, this dude's saying that he hasn't been close to his family, his mother and father, and he's more close to his friends. The society usually frowns upon that like, why don't you love your parents? And it was something which I could not say to other people because of the fear of judgment with that. But deep down inside, I knew what was true. But there are so many things that are true, but they're so painful. So we live in denial or we suppress them and we can't say those certain things. We don't want to share those certain things with other people, which leads to much more problems, which we're going to discover in this video and on this channel, where that was coming from. The year was that where I had no recollection of stress. And then I got so stressed where, I would wake up in the morning and all I would be thinking was that I got to get work done. And now I've got to prove myself to people and just earn some money. Now that college is over, I've been a 90% all my life. I've been a brilliant kid. I've wasted a lot of time in college just chasing girls around. I've wasted a lot of time just having fun. And during that time, I would still earn money. I was very entrepreneurial during my college days because I don't come from a background where my family has a lot of money. And during even college days, I was the one who would be buying clothes for myself, paying for my transportation. Sometimes my dad would pay for it. And just majorly, going out on dates and everything, whichever was there. Clothes and dates were the main thing. Going out to partying 5 nights a week to learn how to communicate with people, go to the club and go during the daytime to malls as well. So I was funding all of that, and I'd been very entrepreneurial, which also we're going to discover has a lot to do with what we're talking about today. So when I started working with my business and I was doing it, every time I would wake up, it was all about this feeling of that I have to prove myself. I have to go out there, and now is the time that I've had fun all my life. I'm 23 years old and I have to work now. Like, what are people going to say? What are people going to do? My parents have invested so much in me. I've got to work. And that was getting to this point that no matter how much, like how hard we worked, we were just not making enough money. All right. We were doing sales, and by the end of it, like, just to give you a context, we were working so hard. It was just the two of us, me and my friend. And then we set up a factory where there were the factory workers and everything, 4 or 5 of them who were on contract basis. So it was like we had around 60 schools here in Delhi and NCR and Gurgaon and everything where we were supplying notebooks, and close to 100 shops by 2016. So we were working a lot. We were doing a lot of money. The transactions, turnover, everything was huge, but still we were not making money. And there was always this chase of, when are we going to make money? And I've got to prove myself, and everyone around is getting a job. And now I don't have a job and I'm an entrepreneur. So I've got to do that thing. And it led to so much stress. That was the time where I stopped hanging out with friends. I thought that was a waste of time. I stopped taking out any free time for myself. I stopped going to the gym because going to the gym felt like a waste of time. I was like, once I have enough money right now, once I earn some money, once I be successful, then I can, of course, go to the gym later. Right now, this is number one priority. I've been going to the gym for quite some time. Then so much so that I would skip breakfast, and even sex. All right, sex started to seem like this thing where I was wasting time. And anytime I would go and have sex, or anytime I'd meet the girl I was seeing at that time or anyone else during that time, we would hang out, and it would be, I just wanted to just get it done with. And even while having sex, I was thinking about work, that when is this going to get over? Let's get over with this. And sex used to be the thing that I would live for. Like, it has been the biggest thing since I got into college, since the age of like 21. It's been the biggest thing, 21, 22, whatever. And here I am at 24 years of age. And during that time, I'm feeling, why am I having sex? Sex is also wasting so much time of mine. And like, it was just a miserable thing, so much stress that I hated having sex. I started having sexual issues as well, which are not a lot, but it was like I couldn't maintain erection. I started coming early. I didn't last long in bed, whereas before that I would last long for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes and everything. And these were things that you don't talk about, but they're very personal to you. And which is why I wanted to share this with you guys as well. During that time, I started losing hair on the back part of my head. Little bit of it also seems like, it's still going right now. I don't know if you guys can see, but this has just been the same. All right, this has been the same for like years now. And it was having a huge impact on me. On top of that, when we were transitioning into my other business about dating advice and helping men with their relationships and dating, during that time, certain things started to happen. It was much more enjoyable for me because I liked doing it. Plus, it had more things out there. There was much more money I could make out there because there were higher margins and lot of things in the business standpoint. But the main thing was that I was passionate about it. I wanted to help guys do that. I wanted to go out. Like, I've always been someone who wants to go out and not just get stuck out here. Once I started doing that, once I started coaching people with dating advice, it was amazing. But now another problem started to happen. Because I was working, because a lot of things were happening out there. College had gotten over, school had gotten over. All my friends had moved here and there. All of my closest friends, I was starting to lose touch with them because everyone was moving on with their life. Everyone was doing other things. And I found myself in a place of being lonely, which has always been in the back of my mind, but I would mitigate it by going out and meeting friends. But now when you have no one around you, you don't have those deep connections around you, you're feeling lonely. I couldn't understand because my closest knit circle of my friends or whoever the people I was close with at that time was just trying to fade away. Even the girls I was seeing, the thing was that I had been with a lot of girls by this time. So going out and meeting a new girl wasn't a problem. And I had indulged in a lot of casual sex, a lot of one-night stands. When this started to be a problem was, I met a couple of amazing girls, all right? And this is the pattern that happened with them. I would meet them. They were amazing. We'd go home, we'd have sex. Things were good. I'd spend time with them. And I would be very loving, very cuddly, very warm. But as soon as they would start to show a lot of interest and emotions would get involved, I would block myself and just like sort of pull myself away. And would start seeing them less. Would start answering questions less, would start answering their calls less. At the same time, when I was with them, I remember this one point of time, this girl was kissing me and everything. And I was like, this is too much of kissing. So I was very sort of like allergic and I would have this physiological reaction to kissing that I don't want to be kissed so much because it was just too much love for me. And she said to me, she's like, why do you push me away like that? Why do you close yourself off? I'm like, babe, I mean, a little bit is fine, but it's almost like a sugar rush that it's having too much of it. And this girl I really liked. Then there's this another girl that I really liked. And mostly with these girls, there was not really any problem. They didn't bring in drama in my life. There wasn't any issues. They were amazing. They were amazing to spend time with. I used to have an amazing time with them. But when things would get serious, I would start to get snappy. I would start to, not take things, not like discussing and get snappy and maybe just get angry as well. I would just close myself off, not get angry at them, but just be like, shut up, yeah, I don't give a fuck, I'm going to leave. Things like that, all right? Just wanting to just leave instantly and just not give a fuck about it, that I don't want this at all and just want to go away. And by this time, I was very aware that all my relationships end when they start to get serious, all right? And we were pretty proud of it. Me, my friends were pretty proud of it. But like, nobody leaves us. It's always like, when a relationship starts to get too serious, that's when I leave. And then when I met these amazing girls and everything was great with them, the pattern I started to notice was that I meet them, we have an amazing time, and then I feel this that I should be going away from them. A physiological reaction. I remember this one point of time, I was crying on the phone with this girl telling her that, babe, I'm so sorry, I cannot be in a relationship with you right now. And she just could not understand. And I was like, I just can't, I don't want to. Make say, ho hi nahi raha. Can you please just let me go? And she's like, if being in a relationship with me gives you so much pain, you should definitely leave. And I was like, I can't. And that really fucked me up. And a couple more instances. So the pattern was that I'd meet a girl, it was amazing. But then as soon as it started to get serious, no problem of her, she'd give me enough space. I'd feel like I'm going to get trapped out here. My freedom is going to be curbed. I won't be able to do a lot of things. I won't be able to go out. I won't be able to meet other girls. And it's like she's going to try and trap me down out here. Sort of like she's going to be an evil woman. And that wasn't the case at all. These girls were amazing. No drama, nothing. They'd give me enough space. It wasn't like if I would tell her that I need space and she won't give me. Or it wasn't that she'd call me all the time. It was just that I was in my own head where I would feel like I would not have space, but they would always give me space anytime I would try to talk to them even. And it was just amazing. But the choice wasn't there and it was just very messed up. And the pattern was meet a girl, leave, have amazing things, leave, go meet another girl who's as amazing as the first one or maybe even more. All right. Go meet her, have an amazing time. Shit gets serious, pull back again. Then go meet a third girl, have an amazing time. Shit gets serious, pull back again. And then I was like, okay, wait, hold on. I'm meeting this girl who's amazing. All right. Why am I leaving her? So I thought to myself, why the fuck am I leaving her? I'm leaving her so that I can go on to meet another girl who's going to be almost as amazing as her, maybe more. But then I'm going to leave that girl as well. So if I'm going to leave that girl, why the fuck am I not staying with the previous one? And I've had shit tons of experience by this point. So it's not even about the experience. It's almost like a compulsion. Like, what the fuck is this? And then I'm going to leave this one as well for a third one. And then the same thing. So why not just stay with the first one? Like, what the fuck is going on out here? And during that time, I used to read a lot of books. So one of the biggest epiphanies I had at the time was when I read the book, The Truth by Neil Strauss. And life-changing, absolutely book, because whatever he writes in that book, I could relate to myself. So Neil Strauss wrote The Game. And when I read The Game, it had a huge impact on me because I was going through a lot of things. And when he wrote The Truth and wrote about relationships, I was going through the same patterns in my life. Being successful with women, knowing that I can go out and get a girl. I'm in abundance. I feel abundance. I don't feel in scarcity. But then I just cannot commit. And there's just this compulsion of going on with the next girl. And there he described that a lot of the subconscious anchors, a lot of the problems and a lot of the patterns that he's going through right now has to do a lot of it with the childhood. And everything I would read out there, I was like, this is a book which is written for me, or this is my exact story that's written out there. And I could relate with Neil Strauss so much because he had written that book when he already had a lot of dating success. And he was a well-accomplished writer. He was a very successful person. But then still his relationships, the deep relationships, intimate relationships, he wasn't fulfilled with that. And I could just relate to it 100%. It was like, this book has been written for me. This book is exactly something, like, I don't know how this dude knows it. And there were so many instances in the book where he reveals about his childhood. And I go back into thinking about my childhood. And while reading the book, I start crying. So many memories come up. So many things that I had put back in the past that I didn't even think would matter at that time. And I got to understand that a lot of these relationship patterns, the thought of, being lonely at that time, the being stressed with work, trying to prove myself, my worth, that I am good enough, feeling lonely, that there's no one for me, has a lot to do with my childhood. Another thing I was going at that time. So to navigate through all this stuff, I was like, let's go for therapy. Let's go find out a therapist where we can go and we can talk about this stuff. Maybe they know about it. So I went to a therapist and there it was just too slow. What I had discovered by reading the book and by reading a lot of things was that I had gone through a lot of childhood trauma, which we're going to talk about in the video. And I'm going to share about the experiences that were there and the kind of effects it had on me. But there was a lot of childhood trauma. And when I went to therapy, it was mostly talk therapy. It was most about talking. Okay, what are you feeling? All right, I'm feeling this. And then she'd be like, okay, there's a lot of confusion. Yes, fuck yes. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. No friends, no girls. I don't know what the fuck is going on with the work and everything. And everything is just collapsing around. And she's like, okay, how does that make you feel? And I was like, it makes me feel like, but what the fuck do I do about it? Like, help me out of it. And it was just about talking. And that exact point wasn't very helpful for me on a very personal level. And here's the thing when you've gone through childhood trauma as well. When you've gone through childhood trauma, the trauma gets stored in your body. And a part of your brain goes offline. So you can't remember things. You remember those traumatic instances as a physiological flashback. It comes back in nightmares. It comes back through a certain taste or smell. You start to feel different sensations. And a lot of the trauma gets stored in the back part of the brain and the body. All right. So what I did was I started going for workshops. I started going to a lot of things. And I started discovering more and more things about myself. So going into a backstory of what were the things that I had gone through? What were the things that were having such a big impact on me? So the relationship between my parents, which I've grown up watching, like my parents are separated, to just say it out clearly. And I've witnessed a lot of things in the household growing up. And those led to a lot of things, like nightmares were huge. I remember during this particular festival that we'd have in India was Holi. And during the festival, 2 days before that, I would start having these nightmares that, someone's leaving me. And during that time, I would develop a fever. Because the incident that happened this one time when I was maternal grandparents' house, and during that time, during the night, the women gather and they go to burn this effigy, this Holika Dahan thing happens. And I wanted to go there as well. But my mom put me to sleep and I was like, no, I want to go. And she left. And even before that, there was this feeling of abandonment because my parents wouldn't get along. And my mom would be like, I'm going to leave you out here if you don't come along with me. And then that's how she had taken me to my maternal grandparents' house. So there again, it just came out and she left, and I developed a fever right that night. And every year I started to develop that fever. I started to get nightmares. Every time I'd be sick, I started to get nightmares. I would talk in my sleep. I'd just like wake up like Undertaker in the middle of the night and say things and just get really scared. And a lot of those things would happen. And that continued even in boarding school. The main reason behind that was that subconsciously, what me as a child, me as a 4-year-old child was trying to do was to not let my mother go, because maybe if I get sick, she's going to stay back for me. So I would start to develop these fevers and everything during that time. And once I resolved them with the steps that I took, and then with now Howard cycle that we're talking about here, I don't have those nightmares anymore. I don't get fever about things. I'm very aware about things. And a lot of that subconscious stuff has cleared up. With me going to boarding school, the nightmare subsided. All right. Just in the starting, what happens is a big pattern that happens with me is anytime I'm sleeping in a new bed, I get those nightmares. I scream at night and everything. This is true till like 5 years back. And I've had very funny memories as well. I tell my friends that I'm going to be screaming at night because this is the new bed I'm sleeping in. And they're like, well, it's fine. And then in the night when I start to scream, they get really, really scared. And they like this one and this friend of mine just went in the corner and was like, he just did not know what the fuck is happening at that time. Boarding school, in an essence, so I was sent to a boarding school when I was 5 years old. The class 1, the first grade, I was sent to a boarding school. And by that time, my mom was staying with us, but my dad decided that it was much better for me to go to a boarding school. So going to a boarding school was very, very helpful because I was in a place where at least I wasn't being traumatized every day and every night. It was a place where I had friends and who like things weren't as bad. And I was away from the house, and I could say that sort of saved me. But ideally, we don't want to do that. That comes off as abandonment trauma to the child as well, that my parents don't love me enough, because that were the messages in boarding school that were going around. And I remember at that time, I couldn't even cry clearly because the messages were there that no, you're not supposed to cry. Why are you crying? And there was a lot of shaming in the household even when I would cry. So 5-year-old kid being sent to a boarding school, we're going to add a picture out here. 5-year-old kid being sent to a boarding school, not crying, leaving his parents when they're leaving him. And even my mother wouldn't come along at that time because my dad was, they shit, like things weren't very well with them. So the reason why I was sent to boarding school was being at home. I remember every night, so much time, a lot of domestic violence happening in the house, waking up every morning to abuses being heard, domestic violence out there. And like in the nighttime when they would be fighting or other things would be happening, I would just turn to so there was a bed, my dad, my mom would sleep, and I was right next to the wall, and I would just turn towards the wall and just feel like I want to just go inside this wall. Like it should just open up and just engulf me inside it, or just have these feelings that somebody could, like, I wish there was someone who could come and save me out here, because my parents are just fighting, and it would make me very scared. It would make me feel unsafe. It would make me like I couldn't trust anyone out there. And that was when it started to sort of like, I started to start going in my shell. And before that, I've got pictures where I'm super happy. I'm very, very happy, like a very happy kid. And then that's when something changed. So every night that was that. Then every morning for at least 20 minutes, I would be in bed, be afraid to not open up my eyes because my parents would be fighting. Physical abuse, domestic violence, a lot of things would be there. And I was too scared about it, that if I open up my eyes, something even wrong is going to happen with me. So I would not open up my eyes and would wait till the time my dad would go to work. And then I'd wake up and would start crying for my mom, like a call for cry. And she'd be in the kitchen and she'd take her own sweet time to come. She'd not come right then and there. She'd take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes sometimes, because she'd be preparing breakfast for me apparently. But at that time, the child needs something else. He needs his mother to cuddle him to make him feel safe. So she'd take her own 10, 15 minutes to come with the breakfast, and I was crying, and I'd be even more angry at that time that why would you take so much time? And I'd bite her really hard, and after some and she'd be like, all right, bite me, whatever. And when it gets so hard, then she'd slap me. And again, me being very dysregulated, very just feeling like I'm not being taken care of, and then just fed breakfast. So this is a pattern that went again and again repeatedly every day for the first couple of years. And when I was born, even then, I was with my maternal grandparents and with my mom. And even after a year, it was the first time I saw my dad's face, because there's so much problem between my parents. And that had a huge impact. So after witnessing all of this stuff out there, I remember so many times just crying and running out of the house and sleeping on the steps. And my dad would come and pick me up, and he's like, come. And I'm like, no, I don't want to come. And then when I'm saying I don't want to come and everything, rather than him trying to talk to me in a very loving manner, what he'd do is he'd be like, all right, fine, you just sleep here. and then again I'd feel very abandoned about it. And I don't know when, I think in the morning I'd be going back. Even when my dad and mom would not want to sleep on the same bed, my mom would at night, go and sleep on the floor with like, spread a mattress or something on the floor and sleep. I would want to go join her because she'd leave me out there, and then my dad wouldn't let me go, and I'd feel suffocated out there again. So just a lot of feelings of unsafety. Even after that, certain things that led to a lot of issues was then my mom would say, this is one thing that's never supposed to happen, or like a lot of things don't not supposed to happen, but what would happen is my mom would share certain things that your dad is so bad, you should never be like him. He does such bad things with me. So the thing at the time was that my dad was, he was in love with this other woman who later became my stepmom, but he still got married to my mom, and then I was born and everything. And then because of a lot of fighting between my mom and my dad, my mom would be like, your dad is like this, he does things like this, don't trust him. And then once I was in a boarding school, my stepmom would come and visit, and when I'd come back home, my mom would ask about it. And I'd share things with her, and I would get shit for that. That like, no, don't do this, no, don't do that. And she'd say things to get me away from my father so that I'm not too close to them. So me being a kid, this is something that I can break down now because I understand it better. Me being a kid, I would be pulled into different directions. One direction would be that I hate my father, but I want my father's love. All right. And I don't want to be like my father because he's very abusive. At the same time, I feel guilt towards my mother because I cannot save or protect her. I also want to help her because she's now confiding in me. So whatever problems are, she'd start to confide in me. And that had a lot of repercussions because now my needs are not being taken care of, and she's getting her emotional needs met from me. I have to take care of her. And she'd be like, you're a big boy now, you've got to take care of me. And so many things would happen. Like at this one point of time, she'd start hitting me. And when she'd hit me, what I'd do is I'd just like I couldn't do anything. I'd fight back, but a little kid cannot do anything. Then when she'd go into the washroom, I'd go run and I'd lock it from outside. And then I'd be like, are you going to hit me ever again? She's like, no, open me and everything. Open me up. Nahin, I'm not going to do it. Now she'd be all nice and everything. And I'd be like, all right, fine. I'm going to open you up. And so like that's what a child can do. He's going to find ways to minimize the pain that he's going through at that time. So I would open it up, and then guess what would happen as she'd come out? She'd come out and she'd beat me even more. All right. I'm saying this with a smile on my face because part of it just feels like a very different lifetime. But like if I look back and look at that 5-year-old kid, like the pain that the child felt, the 3 or 4-year-old kid, that he felt that my mom's hitting me on, I don't know why. I'm a kid. I cannot express anger. I cannot express that you're not taking care of me. I'm feeling very disorganized out here. I'm feeling like so much emotions are coming up. I don't know what to do. I cannot trust anyone. And then when I'm doing something to make sure that, you don't hit me again, and you say things in such a nice manner, I feel like I'm getting my mom's love again. And I trust you with that. You come out and you break that trust again. So that's where, if we talk about my relationships now, looking at the domestic household scene, clearly marriage off the charts, relationships off the charts. And then because of the certain relationship, the dysfunctional relationship with my mother as well, I grew up, and anytime I would get close to a partner, I'd get close to a woman, and suddenly it would get too much. I'd feel like, again, my freedom is going to be taken away from me. Like I'm going to be engulfed out here. I'm going to be enmeshed, and I will not be able to, have my own sense of self, which I developed finally when I was in a boarding school, when I didn't have to be burdened by the certain problems and the constant drama and the constant crying of my mother, right? So my needs, I would always feel like my needs will be taken away from me. But at the same time, number of instances of abandonment also happened. A core need becomes, at this point, a core need of a child or as a person, because his needs are not being met, becomes that he wants the love of his parents. He wants the love that that he hasn't received. So when we grow up, we try to find the same love in our relationships, but we end up in relationship with the same kind of people who hurt us in the first place. And guess what that person's going to do? He's going to hurt us again. And in this case, it was me, my own fears that were hurting me again. But anytime I would pull back, and this is what would happen in that pattern. Anytime I would pull back from a girl, and it was fine. She'd chase me for a while, but as soon as she'd want to move on, I'd feel that fear of abandonment again and want to go in again and bring her back. So it was this constant hot and cold chase again, like go after when she's going away, and she'd believe like, all right, I'm coming back. Spend some time, things get serious, run away again. She'd call me back, I wouldn't go, and the same pattern would continue again and again and again. And this was on autopilot, and I feel so sorry for people, who had to go through this with me. Coming back to the part of abandonment as well. This one point in time, my stepmom, who would visit me in school and everything, I think was 9 or 10 years old, and we'd come back to Delhi, my house. I think there were holidays, and I'd gone to my dad's office. And there my stepmom was there because she wanted to meet me. And she had given me, I think my dad and her together, they bought me a gift. There's a board game called Mechanics, all right, where you build cars and everything with screwdrivers and nuts and bolts and everything. And that was the first day that came. So I got back home very excited and playing it. The next day I'm playing with it. I want to make so many things. And just a very excited kid, very happy, come back from boarding school around 9 or 10 years old. Very, very happy that I wanna get this done. And I'm making it. And my mom is like, all right, we're leaving. I was like, why? Where are we leaving? She's like, I'm going to your grandparents' house. I was like, I don't want to go to my grandparents' house. My new board game just came out here. And she's like, you have to choose. You want to stay with your dad? You want to stay with mom? And I was like, I want to play this. Like, what are you doing? I thought she was bluffing. And she's like, no, I'm going to leave. I'm leaving. And then I had to leave all of that. I had to run behind her because, again, it was like she's going to leave me. And then we hide and everything. She was like, I hope nobody sees us. We're going to take a bus. And we were hiding behind a dustbin or like something. And she's like, I hope nobody sees us. And I was just feeling very, okay, like whatever my mother is saying, I'll do that. But it seemed just very shady. And after that, so went to my grandparents' house. I was staying there for a month or two. I'm with my mother. That's good. For a child, being with the mother is much more important than being with the father. Not to say that the father does not play a huge role, but a child wants his mother more. So me being with my mother, after some time, I'm feeling safe and everything. And they're looking to get me admitted in a school out there because I was very smart. My mother helped me out with that. We'll talk about that later in the channel. That's another story. Why I never get spelling mistakes as well. I'm going to make that at some point in time. But the point being that they were looking for a school to get me admitted to. And I was a brilliant kid. I went out, the entrance was there and that was amazing. And then after some time, my mom is like, all right, we need a transfer certificate. So we're going to go back because one of my uncles has a school. So we're going to get a fake transfer certificate made and we're going to give it out here. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. You're going to leave me. I don't want to go back to my dad. I just don't want to go back. And during nighttime, I sort of heard my grandparents and my mom talk about that, that she'll have to go and leave me, with my dad and it's much better for me or something like that. And I was like, no, what is this happening? I don't want to go back. I'm not going to go tomorrow. Like, I don't trust you now. You're going to leave me out there. She's like, no, I'm not going to leave you. We have to meet for a transfer certificate. It's important. And I was like, all right, trusted my mother again. So we took a couple of buses. We changed from Gurgaon we went to Delhi to my dad's office. We went there and my dad had this new computer at that time. I think it was Windows 95 and there was a couple of games like Aladdin and Zool was there. And so I started playing those games and I got engrossed in it. I was very happy to meet my dad. A lot of things were there. The woman who would work with my dad, my dad's secretary, she was amazing. No dirty thoughts out there. All right. She was just amazing. She was very nice to me. And I'd be playing on the computer on video games. So half an hour went by and my parents were like that, we're going to go downstairs and talk and everything. You stay here. I was like, yeah, sure. So I was playing half an hour, 1 hour and everything went by and I sort of got bored. And I was like, where are my parents? It's my mom and dad. So I go down and I go down looking for them. I was like, where are they? It's been enough time, right? So I go downstairs and I look for them. I can't find them anywhere. I ask in the couple of shops which are there nearby, like, have you seen my dad? Because everybody knew. Like, you see my mom, dad? They're like, no, not right now. And they're like, yeah, they're going to be coming back. They're going to be coming back and everything. And I spoke to one of the relatives also who had a shop out there. I was like, where's my mom? They're like, no, your mom left. And I was like, no, my dad and mom are together. They're going to come back. This is me. I can't place this. I think 8 or 9 years old. So I was like, where? Like, and then I was just, they're like, yeah, just wait. They're going to come. I think I waited 5-10 minutes and then my dad came back and my dad, so he was alone. And I was like, where's mom? And he said that she's gone. I was like, what do you mean she's gone? Or he was like, yeah, she'll come. And I'm like, no, where's mom? What do you mean? Like, she told me she's coming back. She's going to come back. And he's like, she's going to get some work done. She'll come back. I was like, no, I can't leave out here. I have to wait for her. She said she was going to be here. Where is she? And after some time telling me that she'll come back. And I was like, no, she'll be waiting for me. And then he said, she'll come back. We're going to go back home and we're going to tell her to come back home. I was like, no. What if I leave from here with you, like my father, I leave from here with you and my mom comes back and she doesn't find me here. She's going to feel like I left her. So I can't do that. I can't do that. And my dad was like, oh, okay, but the thing is that your mom already left for home before. She had some work at home. So let's go home and we're going to find her there. And by this time I started to cry. Started crying and I was a kid who would throw tantrums because it was just crazy. Like I would throw tantrums at that time. So I started crying and everything and I was crying a lot. And my dad was like, we'll go home. And it was just so wrong at that time. Just this wrong feeling inside my gut, like my stomach area, nervousness going on, felt pukish, was crying, lot of crazy emotions, just didn't know what to do. And then the hope that my mom's going to be home. So I come back home with my dad, and there was no one home. And I was like, no, I've got to go back and start crying. And my grandparents were there, like my paternal grandparents were there. A lot of people were there, 2-3 people. And I didn't want to be with anyone. They were coming, they like come to us, and I would just slap and bite and throw things. And I was like, what is it? Like, where's my mom? Where is my mom? And I think they just left me alone, and I was in a room. I just didn't want to be touched even at that. I was like, where is she? And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't go anywhere. I didn't know what to do. I just started to cry, cried for like 2 hours. My dad went away. Everybody went away. And then I think there was something on the TV which was just put on. And after crying for like an hour or two, it just got distracted by the like calm down, and just looked at the TV and just started watching some cartoons. I think it was Popeye playing at that time. Very distinct memories. So one of the things with trauma is also that, you have very distinct memories of the event. So Popeye was coming on at the television at that time, and I was lying on the floor, right here actually. This is the same room that we're shooting in. So here you see the lamp. There was a TV, and I was lying under it and watching it, and just started watching it all night. And then after some time, just went to sleep. And just the next day, just started going on like this. And I felt like I couldn't even say anything to my dad. And I just sort of knew that, she's not coming back. So I've had multiple instances of that abandonment. And then being sent to boarding school was the first. And then even her leaving at night for Holi. And then this was very huge. And after that, I didn't see my mom for till the time I was in college. Till the time I was 21 or something, close to 12 or 13 years, I didn't see my mom. And then she got in touch with me after that. So I didn't see my mom for a long time at that time, 10, 12 years and everything. And went back to boarding school, lived my life with my parents, with my friends, came back, was a very happy kid. That was like my real essence anyway. But it was a way to mask my own inside pain because it was too much painful. So I had a lot of fun with friends, because why would I want to be facing that pain again and again and again? And then when I think my school got changed from boarding school to Delhi when I came here, again, leaving my friends was just too much for me. That was important because there were a lot of financial issues going on. My parents could not pay the fees. By this time, my stepmom had come to stay in the house, and things with her weren't good as well. Got some bite marks out here. So a lot of things going on at that time, which led to a lot of the problems. So connecting it back to the part of why I was going through so many things even after college was I didn't feel good enough because of being abandoned, because of witnessing my parents fighting, and that something is wrong with me, which is why they're fighting. That's what happens as a child. You take the blame on you that there's something wrong with you, and which is why your parents are not getting along and things are not good with them. As in sort of you spoiling the relationship out there. And you're not good enough because you're not getting the love. You can't trust people. You have the fear of abandonment, so that you don't want to, why would you want to put yourself in a situation again to get hurt again by, having these traumatic experiences? Why would you want to put yourself in those situations again? So naturally, when you get in a relationship, so you want a girl. Why? Because you're missing out on that love. But anytime you get close to that, it's too much painful. So you run back. And I would always feel like I'd be very disconnected from my emotions. I would never be vulnerable. I'd be talking things, but never feel my emotions. And it was always like, so my pattern was that I'm strong enough. So I don't need love. I don't need relationships. I don't need all that things. I don't need those things, because anytime the internal working model, the way my brain works became that anytime I go for love, I receive pain or abandonment or something like that. And there's no one's going to be there for me every time people are going to leave. And it's so much painful. So I think I don't need the love. And that was what helped me survive all that childhood years and all the boarding school and everything. Coping mechanisms, defense mechanisms of not feeling and just coping with everything in life. But once I became an adult, it gave me a lot of things. The entrepreneurial thing came from that part only, because I was like, no one's going to do anything for me. I stopped relying on my parents or anyone else. As soon as I was in boarding school, I was like, everything needs to be done by myself. No one is going to do anything for me. Okay, I am alone out here. I have to do it myself. So that's where my own resourcefulness came in, and which is I've been entrepreneurial. We're launching another YouTube channel out here, a new business, and like I want to do things and I can be out there because that's what I've done. So there's always been some positive parts, but that's not because of the trauma. That could have happened despite of it, like the playful kid that I was. And it's not, again, you got to hear this again. It's not because of the trauma that happened. People will be like, bro, it's good that this happened to you. All right. No, I am successful despite the trauma, in spite of the trauma, not because of it, not because of these experiences. And that's one of the biggest things where people get wrong. So all these defense mechanisms, they helped me survive. But then now, the stress in life that I was taking, the feelings of not being good enough, the feelings of loneliness, going out and feeling the fear even while approaching and talking to girls. A lot of all these things that you can combine out. Your loneliness would be huge in these relationships, not being able to have an intimate relationship with anyone, always feeling like I don't belong, always feeling like I'm alone, always feeling like other people are going to be better than me. And all these things manifest in different ways, in wanting to earn more money, in wanting more and more girls, wanting to sleep with more and more girls, because the mindset behind that is, when I sleep with 100 girls, and when I sleep with a lot of girls who are out there, I will finally feel enough, because now I'm validated by women, because of that core mother wound that was there, the core mother wound which made me feel that I'm not good enough and that I don't deserve the love. So now I will deserve the love as well. I get the love, and now I'm good enough as well. And that's where it manifests. But no matter how much money, success, how much girls you sleep with, how much girls I slept with, whatever I did, there's always days and always that feeling of deep inside of just not being good enough. And the relationships were just new, that every time I have to go through this pain again of the breakup. And the breakup is always hard. It's never like I want to go away, like I want to break a relationship and it's going to be fine. All right, like I'm like this heartless person. No, anytime I break a relationship, it'd be painful. And then when that person would move away, the fear of abandonment, that would strike back again. Physically being hit, parents leaving, witnessing parents fighting, witnessing so many things out there, abandonment, neglect, enmeshment, crossing boundaries, codependency, shame-based rules, the toxic traits that were there in the family, even left to a boarding school, not having people to count on. So many things have so much of effects out there. One thing I'm very thankful about, sexual abuse was like one of the biggest things which did not happen. If that would have happened, I don't know what would have happened with me. And I'm so sorry if you've gone through sexual abuse. A lot of you can relate to it, I'm sure. And if you're watching this for the first time, this is new to you as it was new to me. I can understand that you'd be feeling certain feelings inside you as well, just hearing me talk right now. It's important to be with those feelings because we've been ignoring that for quite some time. Now we're adults, we can look upon these things and not be affected by these patterns as well. On top of it, a lot of you would be able to relate with so many things out here. Things that you would have felt like are okayish and are normal can, or just be like, this is the story of each and every household out there. But the effects that it has are very adverse. Almost all of the problems that we go through in life when we're growing up, that's because of childhood trauma and the subconscious anchors that formed because of that and the conditioning that we've had. Your susceptibility to drug use, your susceptibility to being alone, your susceptibility to be an alcoholic, your susceptibility to be depressed and be anxious and develop all these disorders, BPD, oppositional defiant disorder, all of these things, autoimmune disorders, has a lot to do with childhood trauma. There are, of course, other cases, other causes, like your family history, your genetics and everything will also play a huge role, the way your brain chemicals and everything are working. But these increase your likelihood, huge likelihood. And if there's one adverse experience that has happened, one form of trauma, there's an 80% likelihood of, one or more of them to be happening in a household, because these happen in a cluster. And this is, I'm quoting out of the ACE study, which was done by back in the day. Adverse childhood experience study was there. So all these things happened. And then now I could understand, right? Now, I attended a lot of workshops, number of workshops I went through. Started reading a lot of books after that, after the truth, started reading a lot of books, started attending a lot of workshops, started doing these online programs. And now I'm almost done with my certification that I'm doing with the world's leading trauma experts in traumatic stress studies. A lot of these things were done, and then I would start to understand and heal and just let go of these patterns, these anchors which were holding me back, and just look at that and just unwire them one by one by one by one. A lot of the things worked, a lot of things did not work, and then came to a realization of where I was. And there's this trauma test that I took, when I started to do this. It was all red, almost all red. And now when I took it, now like a couple of months back, it's all green. So going from a score of like 11, 12, 15 or something, which is all red, it's all green to 0, 1 and 2. So anything over 2 indicates trauma, 2 to like 3 to 6 indicates decent, but 7 and above is a lot of trauma. And now over the years, all of the problems that I was having earlier have reduced a lot. Meditation has been amazing. And all of these things that I did to find out, all of this that I did in my journey to heal and learn, which is the past 4 to 5 years I've spent in that, in learning, in healing myself, being a facilitator for that, so that I can help out other people like you, and just looking at different things, what works, what doesn't work, and just coming up with a step-by-step system to help you, to guide you, to help you understand about these things. That has led to a culmination and is coming together finally, where I feel I'm ready to present you the Howard cycle. out here. Now, my relationships are amazing. The relationship with my family is amazing, with my mom and dad both. Earlier, I'd get so many dreams of just killing my father even, and was very angry with him. Now, it's a lot better. But there are certain days when it just gets difficult as well to just talk to him nicely. But it's so much better. The forgiveness is there for my father, for my mother, and all those patterns, I've let go of them. Stress is reduced immensely. I'm going after things, like we're shooting this in the lockdown, and I'm like, the past month has been amazing. I've been waking up, working out, getting the sun, meditating, and in a very clear headspace. And we're getting a lot of work done. And this is exactly what I want to do. And without that feeling of I'm not good enough and I've got to earn a lot of money and achieve and I've got to be successful and then I'll be good enough. Or the fact that I've got to sleep with 100 more girls to be good enough. I can have a relationship right now. I have more intimate relationships with my friends. I have more intimate relationships with my family and my extended family. Whereas earlier I'd believe you don't need family, you don't need anyone, you just need yourself, you can do whatever you want. Loneliness, I don't feel that. Of course, there are certain times when I do feel lonely, but I know how to manage it. I know how to mitigate it. I know how to, like, what I need at that time. I know how to meet my own needs. Because when we do not meet our needs, when the needs are not met in childhood, we grow up to meet those needs through different avenues, all right, be it sex or be it drugs or addictions like that. And we're always out there. We're always in this chase of not feeling good enough, this hamster wheel that we're always after, no matter what we do. It just, like, there's no end to it, yeah. And that deep sinking feeling of loneliness is there. Like, emotions we can't feel, intimate relationships we can't have, and now everything is great. Like everything, like starting from relationships, the stress, the self-worth that I have right now, the work that I'm doing, I'm more aware of my body, I'm more aware of the sensations which are going on inside, I'm more aware of the patterns. And if a pattern comes up which is not productive to me, I can let go of that. I'm also aware of the different parts of me, the angry part of me, which is essential in certain scenarios, the part of me which just wants to rest, which does not want to work, or the part of me which is very driven, or the part of me which wants to help other people, or the more negative parts of me as well, who want to just be like, fuck this shit, let's just go fuck shit up out there. Or the playful part of me. I'm in touch with all of those parts, and there's like a very centered sense and a very sense of calm for me now. And this is the same results that I have had with countless people since I've been working with them since 2019 as well. So number of workshops we've done, number of online programs we've been doing. So I've been working with number of people, and we worked with close to, if I were to count it, close to 35 to 40 people have worked with in the past, and they've had amazing results where they feel High Cycle is literally the best thing that they've done in their life, and just doing this has been absolutely life-changing. And I want to bring you the results as well for that. So High Cycle has been amazing for that, and I cannot wait for you guys to experience those results. For starters, if you want to do something about it, you're very pumped up right now, you love this video, you want to take a next step, there's a subconscious anchors training where you can find out what are the patterns you're going through and be connected with your innermost self and let go of some of those patterns. It's completely free. Go down, there'll be a link, go to that. Or alternatively, another thing you can do after watching the training, or maybe right now, is if you want more insight on it and you want to talk to someone, you want to talk to me or my team, and you want to get on a call with us, help you out with understanding those things and do a deep audit, all right, and get you breakthroughs right on the call, you can schedule a free call with us as well. We've taken out some time to talk to you, and if you'd like to work with us in person as well, we can make that also happen. So these are a couple of things that you can do from this. I hope you guys got a lot out of this. I hope you guys got the backstory out of it. High Cycle is very close to my heart. This is something that I see myself doing for almost the rest of my life. This is something which has been very close in my own personal journey, and the results that it's bringing and the change that I'm able to bring with people. And I feel very honored to be going through this journey and just helping you guys with it. This is going to be absolutely amazing. Talking to you guys has been absolutely fantastic. I will see you guys in the next video. This is Kshitij signing off for High Cycle. Peace out.